for the store, and I was walking back down Fifth Avenue, and there was like a protest coming up, just talking about stuff that happened this week. And they were protesting like stuff at the war and stuff, but got me thinking about the Writers Guild strike going on right now, which I think is probably 10 days in. And I
figured, it that long already?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think the funny thing is, why is everybody laughing?
Because I love you to death, but that was one of the worst segues.
Well,
that's why.
We're not big on segues here. Anyway.
That's why I don't have my own show. So anyway, what I thought was, since we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, we could get a guest, and our guest today is Writers Guild member and comic book writer Christos Gage. Chris, are you there?
Yes, I am.
What's going on, dude? Good morning. Welcome to Best of Show.
How's it going, guys?
How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And now let me read down some of Chris's credits. Chris is the current writer of Stormwatch PhD. This week he released House of M Avengers from Marvel Comics. He's also getting ready to do a company-wide crossover for Wildstorm called Armageddon. And he's also a writer for television, having done episodes of Law & Order and Numbers. And,
that's correct.
And he's also written one of Brian's favorite movies, Teenage Caveman.
I can't say that it's actually my favorite because I've never actually seen it, but I'm a big Larry Clark fan. I'm interested to hear how crazy that whack job is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can tell you stories about that.
So,
Teenage Caveman is... let me just make a disclaimer here. For anyone who watches it, I will not be responsible for your psychiatry bills.
So, Chris, we wanted to talk about the strike, and there were pictures of you on your site on the picket line, and I just want to know how it was going, and how the writers are feeling right now.
Well, it's actually going quite well. The solidarity is very strong, and we actually just got some good news last night, which is that the studios and the Writers Guild are going to resume negotiations a week from Monday, which is very which is obviously a long way from making a deal, but is a very important first step, and something that hadn't been on the horizon that we were aware of. And all of a sudden, it looks as though both sides are saying, "Okay, let's sit down and try to work this out." So that's very good, and I think it's in large part due to how strong the Writers Guild and the very important support we've received from the Screen Actors Guild, the Teamsters, just unions, and just people in general. I think a poll came out that something like 68% of America was on the side of the writers, and there was an undecided portion, and then 8% were on the side of the studios. So we're all very appreciative and encouraged by that.
Chris, out of curiosity, I just want to put out there. I don't guess curiosity. Could we lay out specifically what exactly the quarrel is? What is the issue? What is the holdout that you're trying to make against
I think there's one big overriding thing. I mean, yes, there are other issues, but I think those are all resolvable. I think the big overriding thing is the internet, in the sense that the way it stands now, when a movie or TV show is run over the internet, depending on whether the studio classifies it as promotion or a straight download without ads, writers either receive no payment or they get 1/3 of a penny. And the Writers Guild would like to receive what we consider fair compensation for our work being reused over the internet, because we know that in a few years, the internet will be a primary method of downloading, for instance, whereas now someone might go out and rent a DVD. In a few years, they'll probably just download it from the internet directly into their TV. So we're trying to get ahead of that and establish a payment system now. The studios, on the other hand, claim that the technology is in its infancy and it's too early, they don't make enough money off of it, which is in direct contrast to what they tell their shareholders. But they say, the technology is in its infancy. Let's study this and maybe revisit it in the future. And the problem with that is in the 80s...
on lockdown.
Sorry?
Let's revisit this after we already have it on lockdown and you have no chance to do anything with it.
Well, we do have a precedent, which was the home video. In the 80s, the Writers Guild and the studios said, let's give this business model time to find itself and establish itself. and will give you a better piece of the pie down the road, which of course they never have. So while we do get more than a third of a cent for DVDs and home video, it's not nearly what was promised at the time. So the Writers Guild feels very strongly that we need to get this figured out now and get this worked out now, because, I mean, you can already download stuff directly to your TV if you have the technology. Most people just haven't bought the necessary equipment yet, but it's just a matter of, in the next 5 years, I think a large portion of the people in the country will be doing that.
To play devil's advocate here, the people in charge and posting these the TV shows and the different videos online would suggest that they're really at this point not making any money out of it currently.
Right.
They're saying that, look, barely the advertising that we're getting into it is barely paying, and at sometimes they're saying they're taking a loss paying for the charges of just maintaining this and streaming the media. So how could we possibly? We're already giving you a third of a penny, which may seem meager, but it's still a loss.
The response to that is, first of all, that's in direct contrast to what they tell their shareholders. There's a YouTube video that you can find on UnitedHollywood.com, which is the Guild's the strike-related website, called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the Heartbreaking Voices of Confusion or something like that. And it's just basically a montage of clips of the CEOs talking to financial television or their shareholders, whoever, about how much money they're making off the internet and how much they expect to make in the future, which is quite a lot. And the thing about the internet is, when you stream a video, my understanding is, when I haven't done this because I'm just old school, but when you stream a video off the internet, a TV show, for instance, a lot of times you can't skip over the ads the way you can on a TiVo, let's say. So, they're getting paid for the advertising. And the other thing is, unless I'm totally mistaken here, but I don't think I am, what we get is tied to an extent to the profits. So, if they're not making a lot of money, they're not going to be paying out a lot of money. And there's also with the internet, there are no costs of manufacturing. You don't have to make the boxes, the DVDs. You don't have to ship them to the stores, et cetera, et cetera. So, we feel that there is justifiable reason to be paying the writers something.
I will say that I can't stand when I have to go download Lost and I have to watch a Ford commercial every time for like 4.5 minutes before anything starts. That's so aggravating to me because I already own a Ford. You don't need to advertise for me anymore.
You know what this whole thing reminds me of when the music studios first. When CDs first started becoming popular and the music studios were kind of ripping artists. I remember Sinead O'Connor saying she made like a penny off each CD that was sold at one point. It's almost like they're trying to use the new technology and trying to downplay this new technology when it comes to negotiating. But, and the other thing that I didn't understand is I remember reading one of the studio spokespeople said that, well, we can't really pay because we don't know how much money it's going to be making. But, I mean, isn't that what percentages are for?
That is what it's for. And they know how much they're making now. And, look, they have people that they pay just to figure things like this out. How much are we going to make off Internet downloads in the future? Because they need to tell their shareholders that. They need to figure out how much they're going to invest in that sector, how many people they're going to hire to pursue it. They have a pretty good idea, but they one of the things the Writers Guild, I believe, has asked is just share with us that information, and they say, no, it's proprietary, it's not quite finished yet, et cetera, et cetera. But no, they know quite well, and as you pointed out with the music industry, people in the entertainment industry in Hollywood are very conscious of what happened there, which is the music industry sort of ignored the internet for a long time, which led to a great deal of piracy, and the TV and movie studios are very conscious of wanting to get ahead of this, so that they can come up with like an iTunes model or something like that before people get so used to illegally downloading this stuff for free that they don't even want to pay anything for it. So there's been a lot of research done into this, and I don't know what it is, but I think the powers that be should know enough to come up with something that works.
Hey, Christos, have you been on the picket lines?
I have been on the picket lines. I was on the picket line yesterday, as a matter of fact.
You see any stars out there who look like they just don't want to be there?
No. if they, the